Redfall, a modern game released by Arcane Studios, a legendary studio known for games such as Dishonored and Prey, two series which are regarded highly and loved by so many gamers. The studio has been taking seemingly bigger risks by creating games outside of their legendary IP, opting out of making Dishonored 3 and instead choosing to make Deathloop and Redfall. A lot of fans are calling this the death of Arcane. With Deathloop having mixed reception and Redfall being absolutely slammed online, I wanted to see what all the fuss is about myself. My early impressions of Redfall were, I think that this game has potential. The vampire shooter style seems very interesting. I loved the art style, and I felt if done right, this game could be a smash hit. I also felt that the game seemed extremely generic gameplay wise, and I was hoping that the character class abilities would make the game faster paced than it appeared in the trailers and early previews for the game. But overall, I was extremely positive about Redfall. The concept of a story-driven, vampire, co-op looter shooter seemed extremely unique and had what I felt had a chance of standing apart from other games coming out in 2023, and standing apart from Arcane's previous titles. Then the reviews came in, and they started confirming extremely troubling issues about Redfall. The review embargo for Redfall was extremely close to release, which is never a good thing. This normally means that the developer wants to hide as much as possible about the game before launch, as to not dissuade people in purchasing the game. This is a notable issue that happened with Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk had a strange review embargo scenario as well, and tons of people purchased the game not knowing the horrible state the game was in. Now, Cyberpunk 2077 has been updated and is an amazing experience I feel everyone should play. Some people could have waited to spend their hard-earned money on it until it was properly patched and updated. This is the exact issue with Redfall. The embargo for Redfall reviews were lifted and gamers got to see the reviews for the game, and it was awful. Redfall was getting ripped apart from various gaming news outlets for its awful performance, poor optimization, graphical issues, boring gameplay, and the story wasn't that great, which was especially sad to see for an Arcane game. My curiosity got the best of me. I was still super interested in Redfall as I love looter shooters, and I thought the art style looked awesome. Even with the complaints on the story of the game still intrigued me. I chose to pick up PC Game Pass and get to playing what is considered a modern gaming blunder for myself. The first thing I want to cover regarding Redfall is the story, as I feel the game tries to nail an amazing story, but you really have to dig deep to get a lot of it. I'm going to go over the main story beats, which will contain spoilers. There might have been minor things I missed here and there, such as notes on the ground or something, but like I said, you have to dig deep for it. There's tons of notes scattered everywhere, so it's really hard to get a full picture sometimes, if you aren't scouring everywhere to see everything. The story starts with a recap of what has happened in Redfall. The intro is very interesting and vague. It makes you want to know more about what happened and what started everything. You see the boat trying to escape Redfall getting attacked in the intro cutscene, and after the cutscene ends, whichever character you chose starts to wake up in the boat. You see two vampires drinking the blood of the captain. They then notice you waking up and start to walk towards you. They suddenly hear another vampire approaching, which causes them to run away, saying,
"She's coming. She'll want to see for herself."
A vampire named Black Sun walks in, coming towards you and picking you up. Also, side note, her design is super dope, and she looks really awesome. Anyways.
Oh. Hey, she looks baller, though. She looks cool. That's a good design right there.
She tells you that you all belong to them now, but she wants you alive so she can use you for some reason. And before she can continue, the sun shines through the window, burning her and forcing her to drop you and flee to the other side of the room. She then tells you you will never see the sun again and flees the ship.
You can't walk away from me. No one can. You all belong to us. The others want you dead. But I want you here, alive. can use you. You will never see the sun again.
Afterwards, the character you chose wakes up and you are tasked with leaving the ship. After looting the ship and getting a weapon, you proceed to leave. The water around the ship and in the dock is suspended in the air above and around you, which looks amazing, and I have to give Arcane props for this. It's a super cool and interesting detail. You proceed up the dock, fighting cultists until you reach a fire station. You go inside and dispatch the cultists inside. The people trapped inside ask you to turn the power back on in the fire station, but warn you of a vampire in the basement. You take care of your first vampire, turn the power back on, and go up and inform the folks upstairs. This opens up the fire station, Redfall's main hub, where you will meet other main characters of the game. You can also buy and sell various things and pick up side quests here. The main purpose of the fire station, though, is the mission briefing room. This is where you pick up and start various main missions of the game. The next mission has you collecting supplies from 2 downed helicopters that crash in different spots on the map. From those helicopters, you learn that Bellwether, a private military group, was hired by the Avon Corporation to cover up the company's work in Redfall and secure assets and VIPs. From there, you need to find film reels that the Bellwether group is trying to secure so they can cover up some of the Redfall disaster. You manage to get to the Avon clinic to nab the film reels before the group gets them. After grabbing the Avon film, you head to the Overton Theater to observe what is recorded on the film. On the film reel, you see Dr. Addison experimenting on himself using vampire blood, after which he turns into a vampire god named the Hollow Man. The Hollow Man taunts you throughout the beginning of the game, and you can hear him speaking on various radios around the game world. This film section of the plot doesn't really hit as hard when the film you're watching on the big screen are literal slides of artwork. But anyways, after using a radio to figure out where the Hollow Man is broadcasting from, you then head to his house from when he was a human. His house was his private lab pre-disaster, and is where he experimented on himself in the film reel. You learn through psychic echoes that the Hollow Man had a daughter named Amelia that he experimented on. You explore the house and even find a dollhouse, which you enter to learn more about what has happened. As you continue to explore, you learn that the experimentation from her father caused her death. I think that these psychic echoes about the Hollow Man are supposed to show that he was a monster pre-disaster, which they do convey, but they couldn't do anything better. They couldn't at least have human-like models instead of these blue wireframe models that flash in and out. Why couldn't they do character models to show what is happening? It would make it a lot easier to understand exactly what's going on, as well as make me sympathize and care about the characters more. It's just hard to relate or even care about ghostly figures talking to each other. But when there are at least human character models talking, even if they're ghostly, it's easier to sympathize with them. This is just one of the various issues I'll tackle later. After you retrieve the butterfly needle from Addison's lab, you forge towards to fight the Hollow Man himself. The lead up to the Hollow Man's fight itself was amazing. As you approach the arena where you will fight, you see a massive house that resembles the dollhouse from the previous mission. It even splits in half as you approach in the same way the dollhouse from earlier was opened up. This attention to detail was amazing, and it felt for a slight second that paying attention to the story was paying off. You then head up to the top of the house and start your fight with the Hollow Man. Okay. This was one of the absolute worst boss fights I've ever played. The boss fight consisted of you firing at the Hollow Man until he became invincible, and then run around in circles firing at mobs chasing you until you kill them all, and rinse and repeat. There was not a single unique action, nor were there new attacks each phase of the fight. It was literally spam fire, kill mob, spam fire. At one point in the boss fight, he gets a rotating blue shield, which unless you are a complete dog water at FPS games, won't do anything to stop you. My gun was good enough to basically get him to the next phase of the fight quickly after he recovered from the previous phase. This boss fight was so uninteresting, it's not even funny. Well, at least like Borderlands and various other looter shooters, we'll get a good legendary, right? Or a unique weapon, right? Right? Wrong. You get nothing besides a weapon skin and the butterfly needle, which is a remnant that gives you a decent static buff, I guess, but I'd rather just have a unique weapon or something like that. Afterwards, you head back to the fire station and start the second half of the game at Burial Point. You go to Burial Point and secure the Maritime Center as your new base of operations.
What up? You gonna say deer?
It's good to see you're safe.
Yeah, you too.
From here, you have 2 vampire guys you need to take out before the end of the game, Miss Whisper and Bloody Tom. At this point of the game, I was starting to lose steam. I had played for 6 hours at this point and there was nothing new or interesting. I even kept getting the same unrivaled weapon drops, so I wasn't even getting new unique weapons to test out. I was even trying to find ways to speed the process up or skip combat entirely so I could finish missions as fast as possible. But I forged ahead because I wanted to see how this game was resolved. So, I will give you all the bare bones of the story as there are tons of unnecessary details and probably other details that I just straight up missed. Let's start with Miss Whisper. Miss Whisper, pre-disaster, was an executive at Avon Therapeutics. She performed research and experiments at the Twin Tree Recovery Center, and she specialized in the blood trance as a vampire. At the Twin Tree Center, you recover her remnant, after which you go to fight her. This boss fight was a little harder. There are different phases just like the Hollow Man fight, but here they reuse the effigy stuff and have you destroy effigies while being chased by ghostly figures to go to the next phase of the boss fight. Side note, her design is pretty dope too. She looks awesome and scary, and they just did a good job with this boss design. After you destroy 3 effigies, you stake Miss Whisper's heart, defeating her permanently. After which, you just get a remnant to use. This boss fight was definitely better and a bit more challenging than the last boss fight, but still nothing crazy and overall pretty basic. GG. Oh, where'd she go? Oh, she had to go to a place to die. Ugh. Oh. Bloody Tom was also an executive at the Avon Corporation. Who could have guessed? Bloody Tom was a hard one to follow for me. I think he killed his dad. I don't know what else besides that was notable. He has the ability to communicate through dead corpses, which is cool, I guess. Anyhow, you get to his lair and start the fight. Bloody Tom, design-wise, looked pretty cool, and his boss fight is the hardest so far. He shoots out red mist at you, which damages you when you touch it. He also throws out different melee attacks if you get up close. I did manage to cheese this boss fight though, but I did have the most fun with it so far. After getting another remnant, you leave his lair and prepare to fight the Black Sun. Before we continue the story, I want to give a little backstory to the Avon Corporation. The Avon Corporation was founded by Claire and Charles Beck and was funded by their dad. Their goal was to stop humans from aging. They partnered with Redfall General Hospital and used blood from different blood drives and started human trials. They eventually discovered a woman who you hear through different echoes you can find throughout the game. Using her blood in an experiment gone wrong, they discovered vampirism. Eventually, Tom, Dr. Young, aka Miss Whisper, the Hollow Man, and the Beck twins drain this woman, whom they call the gateway, of all her blood. This causes the beginning of their transformations into vampire gods. Charles Beck, one of the Beck twins, started to feel guilty. He expressed this to his sister Claire. She, at this point, was hungry for power and not wanting Charles to go public with what they had been up to, killed her brother.
No. Something happened when she died. When we killed her. I'm not just talking about feeling bad. It's in my blood. It's in my head. I can feel
This guy has a
it
conscience.
somehow. Can't you?
They're talking about that girl that donates the blood.
Alive. More than alive. Like, I could do anything I wanted and no one could stop me.
I can't do this. I can't keep doing this.
Where are you going? I'm talking to you.
I can't live with what we did, Claire. I know you can, but we deserve what comes next.
Aren't walking
This
away
guy's
from
cool.
us.
He tried to stand up.
Claire!
Oh, she attacked him.
Claire.
Oh, did she kill him? Oh, it looks like it. Charles Beck has been helping you throughout the game as a gold ghostly figure. After your victory over Tom, he tells you to meet him at this festival, which you go to and kill all the vampires protecting a tent. Inside, you find Charles Beck in his vampire god transformation. He looks very rough. He's also chained and unable to move. He gives you the Black Sun's remnant, after which he burns and passes away. Okay, so this section was extremely confusing. What was the point of the psychic echo where Claire beats Charles to death if he was just going to become a vampire god anyways? Why not say they had a huge fight as vampires and Claire won or something like that? This section of the story makes no sense, and even though I was actively trying to work to understand the story, I could not find an explanation for this. I might have missed it, and if I did, please tell me in the comments, as this just makes no sense to me. Anyways, you take the Remnant and head towards the ruins of the Avum Corporation's former headquarters, and start your fight with the Black Sun. I want to preface this fight with the fact that I loved the Black Sun. I thought her character design was on point. She looked scary, powerful, but really cool. I looked forward to having a massive fight with her at the end of the game. This ending boss fight with the Black Sun absolutely sucked. It was so bad, and it makes me so mad. The boss fight boils down to you having to run up and press E on 3 different altars, basically, while the Black Sun shoots little projectiles at you and you're being chased by different vampire types from the game. It was so lame. You don't even fight the Black Sun herself. After pressing E at the 3 different altar things, you just run up and stake her in the heart. I thought maybe for a split second that Arcane punked me and she was going to grab my hand right as I was about to kill her and throw me, starting a second phase of the fight where I fight her. But no. You literally just stake her heart, she dies, and bam, the sun's back out and you won. It's just so bad and unsatisfying. I honestly didn't know what I expected.
Did she die? Is this the boss fight? I don't even fight her? I don't even fight her? Oh, wow. Oh, never mind. Oh. Damn, she dead. Well, that's the game.
The ending cutscene has the gateway speaking to you. She's a godly figure now, apparently, and she's basically just warning you that it's not over. Basically just setting up for DLC expansions and future content. Or maybe a sequel? With the reviews Redfall is getting, I doubt we will see a sequel, but hey, the gateway is telling you it, so it must be true. The ending of this game is just so unsatisfying. It really just fits the game perfectly, if I'm honest, and I don't know what else I expected. There are 4 main protagonists, each with different abilities and powers. I can go more in depth on how fun the character I played was, but with the others, I'll just list off their abilities. Jacob Boyer is your sniper type character who has a ghostly eye and a raven. His ultimate ability allows you to basically have aimbot and headshot everybody. His raven lets you tag enemies with red outlines, and his cloak ability lets you go invisible. Remy De La Rosa is your support type character who has a C4 charge ability and a siren ability where her robot companion makes a ton of noise to distract her enemies. Her ultimate ability is Mobilize, which has her create a control point that heals and revives everybody in its radius. Layla Ellison is honestly my favorite character in the game. I played her for a few hours in like a separate playthrough, and I love her and her design. Her lift ability summons a purple elevator that you can jump on to fly high in the air. Her umbrella ability is a shield that protects you from projectiles, but also absorbs damage and can be launched forward to damage enemies. Her vampire ex-boyfriend ability summons her ex-boyfriend, who is now a vampire, to fight with her. She is the most likable character in my opinion and is the most fun. Devinder Krausley has interesting abilities. He uses an arc javelin to electrocute enemies and a teleporter he can throw and teleport to. Then his ultraviolet ability has you put a staff in the ground that emits UV rays and petrifies vampires. His abilities are decently fun, but my god, is he such an unlikable character. His voice lines are just boring and not interesting at all, and I ended up hating him towards the end of the game. Overall, this game has an interesting cast of characters with different abilities. I think that they are okay, but they also fall into various looter-shooter tropes in my opinion. Nothing is overly unique in this game besides the vampire ex-boyfriend ability and Devinder's UV beam ability in my opinion. This section won't be too long as I don't have too much to say that others already haven't. The art direction of this game is great. I think the art style is awesome and I like the cartoon realism style they went for. I really enjoyed how the vampires looked. Their designs were cool. My only issue is that there wasn't much variance in terms of the vampires' faces. I remember fighting some of the vampires with the exact same face at the exact same time. They really should have done something to make at least the base vampires look differently in terms of face. There were constant graphical issues that are more performance related, but I still have to mention the constant pop in and pop out, as well as textures just straight up not wanting to load in. I think what they wanted to achieve would have been fine without these issues. The main issue I do have is the choice of using basically PowerPoint slides as cutscenes. These slides are narrated by your character of choice before each mission, and it's extremely lazy. Overall, I find the art style to be okay, even though I find the cutscenes lazy, and without the graphical issues present, I do think that the art style is average to like good at best. I'm not educated that well on music, so my opinion is going to be extremely basic and quick. I think the game did a great job with the music. It really set the tone in some places and made the game feel creepy. There were other moments where the music just didn't fit or didn't make any sense to be playing at that time. One time the music didn't really make sense was during Charles Beck's death. Like, I barely know this dude, and you guys are playing super sad music. He never did anything for me besides get the remnant, and he basically just warned me of things throughout the game. Music was okay, but sometimes just did not hit the mark. I don't have too much to say here besides it's just awful. Textures are constantly popping in and out, the game glitches all the time, I was constantly dropping frames, and honestly they just really need to hunker down and patch it up. I don't know what else to say. Let's just cut the crap and get straight into it. This game's gameplay was mediocre at best. At its core, it tried to be a looter shooter, and the looting and shooting both were not great. The loot system of Redfall makes absolutely no sense. I'm going to make comparisons here to Borderlands, who in my opinion gets the looting part of the looter shooter genre the best out of any other game in the genre. Redfall has a tiered based loot system. There are chests and weapon caches you can find weapons in, but the way it was done just felt lazy to me. In Borderlands, for instance, they have different chests for guns, the main ones being the gray chest and the iconic red chest that everyone knows from the series. You knew that if you were looting from a gray chest, the guns were going to be but the red chests had the good stuff. There's nothing like that here in Redfall. You never know what you're going to get, and it seems to be purely random. You don't even get to farm bosses in Redfall to get specific legendary weapons. There are literally legendary containers that will contain legendaries sometimes. So you can just find one of these containers and then quit and reload to keep opening it to get legendaries. No boss fights, no grinding, just straight up opening a container over and over and over again. I never did this. All the legendaries I got were from either containers randomly or the rook fights. I'll go more into rook fights in a minute, but they almost always drop a legendary. Now, I don't know the variety of legendaries in this game. I don't know if it's low or what it's supposed to be, but I would always get the same legendaries to drop in this game, and I rarely saw new unique weapons. I really wish Arcane took some more notes here from Borderlands and other looter shooters to make it exciting to farm or find special containers for unique weapons. The shooting and combat for Redfall is just basic. I don't really have much more to say. I wish I could say that it was at least great, but the shooting just feels stiff. The guns don't feel very different at all, and it just feels like a generic shooter overall. There were even times where I'd be firing and know I'm shooting at the enemy's head, but it wouldn't register some of my shots. And the burst fire rifle, oh my god. Just never use a burst fire rifle in Redfall. You'll hate your life. The special class abilities don't elevate the gameplay issues here. And while they can help shake it up, the abilities just don't do enough to help make the gameplay better. The skill trees feel almost pointless as well. And if you want to get the best perk in the skill tree you're investing in, you have to get all of the abilities in that tree. Even if you don't want a certain perk, if you want the capstone perk in that tree, you must get that perk. Which really sucks that I had to invest in abilities I didn't even want if I wanted to get the best version of my arc javelin. The perks themselves, besides the capstone perks, don't do enough to make the game feel different at all either. The gear system in this game is basic. You can have 3 guns and they scale to your level when dropped. Like I said, not a ton of gun variety here, so it gets kind of boring switching guns because you don't really have that many new or unique guns to use. The remnants are cool, they give you little static buffs, and they're a little cool bonus. Overall, nothing insane. There is some enemy variety here, but not enough to make the game feel like you're having unique or special encounters. It's never memorable. I honestly started to hope for there to be very little vampires around because fighting them just became a pain. My main complaint is the rook storms too. The rook storm meter builds and builds and builds as you complete objectives or kill certain enemies. Once it fills, a rook vampire variant will spawn in from a thunderstorm. The fights themselves are easy, but the problem is that the rook storm would always start when I was finishing a mission. They eventually got repetitive and boring, and as the game kept going, I hated it when they would pop up. Finally, the multiplayer. The main thing I'll say here is that there is almost no point in playing multiplayer. Let's say, for instance, you and a friend start new characters together. If they are hosting the game, none of your progress will matter. You guys could be decently far in the story, and let's say your buddy hops off, but you still want to play. So you're just like, okay, cool, I'll just hop in by myself and continue the story for a bit. You can't. You can't. You have to start all the way from the beginning just because you didn't host the game. So what's the point? Why make it multiplayer? The only reason to play multiplayer is if you and your buddy want to run around in the game and mess around. And if you care about the game in any other way, though, it's pointless. Your gear and your level will carry over, but you will have to start the main story and all missions from the beginning. If you care about the game in any other way, though, it's pointless. The single player progression that you will make in your friend's game will do nothing for your own. So it's pointless to create your own character and play multiplayer. At the beginning of my playthrough, I was having some fun and thought that this game had some potential. The more I experienced the game's systems and mechanics, or the lack thereof, I began not to enjoy myself. The gameplay itself is just boring and repetitive. The characters are overall unlikable. The multiplayer is pointless. The story makes you actively work and do research to figure out what's going on. It has major performance issues with various bugs, glitches, and graphical issues that makes playing Redfall become a test of resilience. I really hope that they patch the game and make it better. There's also DLC plans for the game, and I hope that it's in a better state by that point. I want to do a classic out of 10 rating system, as I feel like it will convey my thoughts on games properly. I know most people don't like that, but I feel like it's an easy way to get my thoughts across. For my overall rating of Redfall using a out of 10 scale, I will give it a 3 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. Knull out. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Knull here. I hope you guys really enjoyed my review of Redfall. It was a lot of fun to sit down and play the game and experience it and get to write a full script and review for the game. This is my first longer form video content thing, and I'm proud of how everything's been turning out. Thank you guys so much for the support on this channel and my side channel, Retro Knull Plays. It was really awesome to see the support you guys are showing out on the videos. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Pixel Patrol podcast. It means a lot that you guys are listening and checking it out each week. You guys are amazing, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys want to see more reviews like this, please drop a like and a comment, and please drop a subscribe to see what I'm going to be doing in the future. Also, I really would like to ask you guys to leave genuine criticism in the comments. If you guys did not like certain things that I did, please let me know. This is my first review and long form video that I've ever made like this, and I do want to hear genuine tips and criticism for the future. Thank you guys so much for everything. I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.